Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting of the Abundant Life Center on this October 13th, 2023. And I'm Cheryl.
Or
I'll be your host today.
2024.
24. Where did that come from? Thank you. And I'd also like to introduce Giovanni to our group. He's here for the first time and looking for a spiritual group to participate with. So we're really glad he's here. Okay, so first I'm going to light the God candle, which is a symbol of the one power and presence in the universe, known by many names. And the name you choose to use is welcome. Okay. So the first Sunday or first meeting of each month, we like to share our beliefs. And so I believe that will show up on the screen and we can read along. Our beliefs. Divine love is the source from which all of life flows. The direct experience of that ultimate source is available to all. All life is a unique expression of the divine to be revered. We co-create our world with the ultimate source and each other through consciousness. There is truth and wisdom in all spiritual paths. We choose the path of love. Okay, and our opening song today is Love Is All You Need. I think you'll find that familiar by the Beatles. All right, well, that certainly sets the tone for the day. And I'm excited to introduce Kay Inglin, our own beloved member of our community, who's going to lead us in a few minutes in a discussion about love, AI, about love, love wins, a discussion about revelations from a near-death experience, which I believe she has gotten from a book she was quite excited about sharing with us. So as we get prepared to move into our discussion time, we're going to listen to a meditation by Pema Chodron, the Tonglen Meditation from the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies. So if you want to just settle in and relax, and we'll listen to this meditation and participate.
Okay, just before we start the meditation, I want to explain a little bit about the meditation that we're going to offer today. This meditation is called Tonglen, and it's a Buddhist meditation practice that involves breathing in the suffering of others and breathing out peace and healing. And the goal of Tonglen is to develop compassion for oneself, others, and the world. So in Tibetan, the word tong means to give and glen means to receive. So it's known as exchanging self with others. The practice involves visualizing, receiving compassion for oneself, and giving compassion to others. And I think that it's something we need so importantly right now when so many of us are so stressed out by the chaos that surrounds us and the things going on in the world. So this meditation was suggested by the person that we're going to talk about a little later on today. So now we can begin. Thanks.
Thank you, Kay.
So my talk today was inspired by a video that I saw on YouTube. I am fascinated by hearing the stories of people who have had near-death experiences. I find hearing these glimpses of what may be in store for us beyond this human life can be very inspiring and informing on how we should live our life while we're here on this amazing, cherished planet. So, so we'll actually watch a short 10-minute video of someone's explanation of their time during their near-death experience. But I'm assuming everybody here is familiar with near-death experiences. But I first became interested in learning about NDEs back in 1979 when I read Raymond Moody's book, Life After Life. I was like, wow, that's really cool. People die, go to heaven, and come back to tell us about it. That's amazing. And so pretty much since then, whenever a new book has come out or a new story has come out about somebody who's come back to tell us what they have found, I've read those stories. And a lot of it has helped me decide different ways to live my life. So, many of you know my backstory. I grew up in a very devout Catholic family, and in first grade in Catholic school, the first thing we learned in religion class was the Baltimore Catechism, which gave us cue and response answers about religion. And the first thing we learned was who is God? And the answer to who is God, the 30 little first graders in my classroom responded to Sister Carmela, was God is love. If I'd only known then that I could have stopped right there and didn't have to do everything else that I learned and did about religion, all the answers are right there. So the Baltimore Catechism had the answer, but they missed the mark in practice. They decided to make it much more complicated than that. But so it's all about who is God. God is love. And so what we're going to do is listen to how a young man named David McGinley, he was a seminarian studying to be a Lutheran minister. He's Canadian. He had a cancer that was stealth, and people didn't realize that was the cause of his problem. And he passed out one day at the pulpit. And so we're going to hear now about David's experience. And Eric's going to play a short video of David explaining what happened. Okay. Do you like it, Carol? I'm glad. Yeah, when I saw that YouTube video, I really thought, oh my gosh, this is a topic I want to share with everybody at ALC. Eric will be sending out a link to the actual video. This was editing down of an over 1 hour interview that he did with a podcaster. So you can see the full interview on YouTube. But in summary, what he says is, when love becomes the driving force behind our thoughts, words, and actions, we create a powerful ripple effect that transforms not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us. Love wins. Love is not an emotion. Love is the highest state of consciousness. And this affirmation helps us to align our entire being with the energy of love, ensuring that every step we take is guided by the highest vibration of the heart. So let love be your spiritual practice. And now I'll open the discussion to anybody that wants to share reactions, thoughts, inspiration. What would love do?
That was our theme when Reverend Otta was our Diane. Well, one of our later ministers. I brought this message to our community, and I don't know how far we got with it, but I kept this little reminder in my office, and I look at it every day. And thank you for reminding me, because I look at it and I don't see it anymore. So I need to change my thought and move my sign and remember, everything I do needs to be infused with love and let go of the ego. But yeah, our community has thought about that, but it's an individual practice and we're constantly working on it. But I love that meditation and the video. So thanks for bringing that to us.
It was all great. And one thing I really appreciated, because it's part of, I'd say our teachings or what we talk about that is harder to grasp for me, was his description of God. This, I don't even remember the words he used, but it was this one essence from which all things emanate. And it wasn't exactly that, but I really appreciated hearing that, with it coming from what his experience was.
Judy.
Okay. I've been a part of this for 30 some odd years. And Kay, thank you. It's time it opened up. It really is. I know ALC, there's values. It starts off, we are on the path of love. Fortunately and unfortunately, that path is either long or short, depending on the individual and how fast we learn. And to sort of answer Linda's question, for a near-death experiencer, it's all in the mind of the individual, what they see on the other side. What he saw on the other side was what he saw. And when somebody else has a near-death experience, they may see something totally different, but yet the whole thing means the same thing. So let me see. I came to ALC, maybe 2012 or something like that. And there was an old member, and some of you may remember Annie Palmer. She had a near-death experience in the 80s. She attempted to speak about it at ALC way back when, but we weren't ready for it at that point. But since then, I've mentored her and I've supported her in the way that I can and help her. And she has authored a book. She has been on several podcasts describing her near-death experiences. And she is really opening up and starting to thrive. So I can see what is happening in the world where people are really starting to become awake. And I am so thrilled and so grateful for that.
Cool. Anybody else have any comments? Anything to add? Carol, you're unmuted. Do you have any?
Well, years ago, I was relaxing in Glendale, Arizona, in my living room. And in this particular apartment, single floor, it had a center area that had a little, had plants and a little garden and a little waterfall. It was very relaxing. Of course, it had double doors, so I could open it up and have the energy of all that. And I was relaxing one day and this voice came to me, "I'll be with you through the rest of it." I didn't know whose voice it was or what the rest of it was going to be, but I didn't ask any questions. I just, oh, okay. So that's all. That's pretty much the most experience of that kind of, well, no, I've had voices come to me before. I remember one time when I decided I was going to be the very best Yogananda devotee ever. And I was sitting there meditating and looking at a vase of daffodils. And the voice came to me because I was going to be the best, right? And so the voice came to me and said, "Look at the daffodils. Are they not all beautiful?" and there were some that were dying. And I said, okay, I got it. Thank you.
Eric, do you have any comments on this?
Still thinking, taking things in. I think there's much of, or we make our lives difficult by not being able to realize that there are dimensions that we don't see but exist nevertheless, and because of our duality, because of our density, we make it difficult. If I learned to put a lot of things in perspective of energy, and energy superposed at all level, it's only an issue of vibration and amplitude, right? And so if you put it from this perspective, you can imagine that there are other energies and vibrations that bring people in other states that we may never be able to experience here, because we cannot take these vibration or these energy into our body. They will not resonate, and so it's difficult to go beyond. I mean, at the end, we are here to experience this 3D reality. That's why we came here. That was our choice, and we're trying to do the best of it in many sense, trying to live up to be able to love, unconditionally. But this will always, I think, be very difficult. But we keep working at it.
I'll chime in. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I just took a note down during that YouTube video. The gentleman said that love is the highest state of consciousness, and it's not something, not just an emotion. I'm paraphrasing that second part because I didn't get that taken down, but that's just something that I've been working on personally in my meditation and my journaling around love, is me trying to work on how to define love. Like if I were to write the dictionary entry of what love is, and I've just been not struggling, but just working on that personally, like how can I put it into words? And so in my meditation, about a week or so ago, the words just came to me, and I've just been dwelling on it. The word said, speaking to myself, inject the codes of love, and the word inject to me it means some sort of a transformation of me. So it's not like love is something that you just feel. Like you might feel anger, you might feel hungry, you might feel something. Okay, now I feel love. Love is a state of awareness and a higher state of consciousness. And for me personally, I want to be transformed to where I am love, or love is me. I don't know. I don't want to get too like existential or whatever, but and then the other part of that, the words that came to me right after that was I let go that I may embrace. And so I just need to let things go. That way my hands are free and I can embrace. So I just wanted to share that. That's what's been going on in my head, and that's what came to mind as we were talking about love this morning. So.
Yeah, maybe in addition to what I said before, love is like the water for a fish who is in the water, and or for us it's the air that we don't see, we don't feel. It's just natural. It's always there, and love is always there. It's what creates everything, right? So how do you define it? It's very difficult, because the fish will only notice that there was water when you take him out of the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just go ahead, Judy.
Okay. There are so many ways to love. Loving another person, loving a child, loving a spouse. And just the word respect is a form of love. Okay. And I think the best way I can describe love, and Giovanna, you kept saying in my head, it's got to come from the heart. Get out of your head and go into your heart. And an easy exercise to do that, when it's in your head, pretend there are steps, stairs, and you take each step and you bring that down, that thought, until it comes into your heart. It's a little hard, but a little practice will do it. But then another way to look at love is just the old saying is treating others the way you want to be treated yourself. And unfortunately, we don't do that in this world, especially with what is going on in the world right now. It is a world of duality. And our world of duality, what we have done as a whole, we've used it as division and separation, and we've made it love and hate. But what if duality really means looking at both sides? We are put here to look at both sides to get a different perspective and look at everything individually as a whole by walking down the middle of the road so you can watch what's on your left side and what's on your right side. And I've got a friend in San Jose. He's in hospice right now. He's an old engineer, and he's got credentials up the kazoo. And Eric, you'll appreciate this. He was the head of the dowsing chapter in San Jose for many, many years. Okay. But he's 89 years old and a retired minister to boot. And he has written many articles. And being in hospice, I've been in constant contact with him and through emails and keeping him going. And in one sentence he wrote in one of his articles, and this really hit home: we have a tendency to love more what we claim to hate than what we claim to love.
It makes a lot of sense.
We can easily say, I don't like this, I don't like
Exactly.
that. Right?
It's too easy to hate something. Okay. I have a story to tell, if I may take the floor for about 5 minutes. And this is a true story because I was a part of it. A few years ago, there were 4 ladies of us that would get together once a month and go out to lunch. We would all carpool and go in the same car and pick out a place in Southwest Washington or over in Portland. And we did this for many, many, many months. And one day we were at lunch and one of the ladies started complaining. She didn't like the food. She was cold. She didn't like where she was sitting. And she just started on this thing that she complained and complained and complained. Nobody said anything, and we all went home, and let it go. That evening, one of the other ladies sent out a horrific email saying, I quit. I will not be a part of this. And she berated that person and put her down, saying, what she did was not right. I can't be a part of all this negativity and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it was a reaction. It was not a response on her part. Okay. The next day, the lady that was attacked, instead of reacting, she responded. She apologized to everybody through email and also thanked the lady that berated her for acknowledging what she did wrong. And it was the sweetest email, that was unbelievable. I really love that. But what nobody knew, being there's 2 sides of the coin, there's the light side and the dark side. The lady that was berated, what nobody knew was that she has OCD. That is the dark side. Nobody knows. But yet we are so ready to attack somebody because of what they see in front of them, and they don't look at the big picture or get to know what the big picture is. And I see that so much, especially what's going on in the world today. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Cheryl.
This discussion brought to mind our own former member, Stephen Lavoie. As I remember his stories that he was so happy to share over the years, he was a real badass, rode motorcycles and was angry and didn't have a good life. And I believe he hit a pole or something and had a near-death experience. And that man is transformed. He is so peaceful, and he's practiced Buddhism now for years. And he lost his beloved wife, Karen, just suddenly a couple years ago. He's got kidney failure and gosh knows what all. He's been dying for so long. I thought he was gone, and he calls every once in a while and reminds me he's still here. And the thing that impresses me, he's so intense, it's hard for me to really talk to him, but I just listen sometimes when I'm around him. He's calm, and the doctors don't know what to do with him because they think he should be angry and suicidal about his health condition. And he's just loving and peaceful and calm about it and accepting. And accepting is kind of the word for Stephen. He just goes with the flow anymore. And I think that all started with his near-death experience when it transformed him from hateful to loving. And he's the only person that I really have been in communication with that I know of that's had a near-death experience. But he, from what he's explained about his previous life, is just completely transformed by it.
I think that it happens in some cases too, where some people may not be on their path, and they may not know what their path is, but they're not on the path, and something needs to happen to put them on their path. And it could easily be just medical condition. It could be, it could be a near-death experience, but it doesn't have to happen for everybody to be on their path. Some people are just on their path. They just do what they came here to do, and everything moves along. I think you get these corrections as 2x4 over the head, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, Ananda.
That way.
Like
That
that.
used to be a I thought that was I liked the Reverend's narrative and his analysis of it a lot. I respect him a lot for acknowledging the power of the Buddhist experience. That's kind of hard for a lot of Christians. And I can't shake the feeling that we're creating this enormous structure of assumption of a benign universe in simply because it's the apparent meaninglessness of it all is too overwhelming to deal with. I think it's great for people's spiritual maturity and their walking a wise life, but I just can't understand how or why it would be so. I think it's more meaningless than people give it credit for. Sorry, but
isn't that part of our co-creation effort, is to give it meaning, to create? Because when you create, you give meaning to something, right? It's a consciousness, it's a thought, and you create it, you transform it. So I think you day in, day out, you give meaning to life, to your life, to other people's life.
that's true. That's true.
Ananda, I'm really happy you weighed in on this because I see you as our resident skeptic and deep thinker. And you give us the opportunity to look at things in a way that maybe we don't see right in front of us. So I appreciate your weighing in on that. And I was kind of wondering what you would think about this. Paul?
You are muted.
Oh, here, can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
I like what you said, Ananda. This is a frightful universe to be in if we just look at it that way. I mean, it's full of hazards for me and for everybody else. But I've decided that I have to still sustain myself here in this place. And I'd like to have this smooth ride rather than the tough ride.
That's a very Buddhist point of view.
And I found that smooth ride by that old Sunday school story about love thy neighbor as thyself. That's the way that I can find my way back to confidence and a nice life. And it isn't that I don't recognize trouble when I see it, but I don't go looking for it. Every interaction I make with people, I think at least my goal is to end up where we're both okay at the end of it. And it may be just the simplest thing that we agree on where to cross the street. But we find common ground, I guess is the word. And the more I find it, more I find common ground, the more at peace I seem to be with the world. I watch my political stuff and it bothers me, and I do enough of it to know what's going on. I shut the goddamn thing off. And I'm done with it. And
That's quite a piece.
I'm just, whatever's going to happen is going to happen there. And I just don't, it's my lack of control in it, I guess, that has me upset more than anything. But there's love out here. Just go out and hunt for it and make it happen. Love is letting go of fear. You're okay, I'm okay. Strive for that. And your day will come, and it isn't going to be as tough as you think. If you lead a good life, you're going to feel proud of yourself, good about yourself. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, so before we sum this discussion up and wrap it up, does anybody else have anything else to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to share one thing. And somebody brought up the subconscious before. The subconscious is 90% of what we do. Okay, it's programmed in there for a long time, and these programs are there. They're always working, right? And to deprogram yourself, it's work. It's not just, oh yeah, what I used to do, I'm not doing it anymore. No, it's programmed in you, and you need to work on that. And I started a practice about 2 or 3 months ago, where I have a timer where every 10 minutes, the timer goes off, and I just have a second of I'm at peace, right? That's what I tell myself. And do that, and I'm committed to do it for a year and see what change it will do for me. But this is the effort that goes into reprogramming your subconscious mind.
One of the things that I noticed was when I was studying Buddhism was the middle way, the middle path. And I really like that because that has served me well as I look at things that are opposite and understanding why they could be that way. And for that particular person, for their particular background, it made total sense, even though it might not make total sense to me. And it helps me to just be okay. And if I really want to change something, and I've identified what it is I don't want, I spend time imagining what it is that I do want, creating that kind of energy.
I'll just offer in that as we wrap up that I felt like, yeah, we were very much touching on a lot of the Buddhist ideals and intentions of following Buddhism. There is the 5 intentions of Buddhism that I've been studying, and it has to do with being at peace with yourself, walking the path of wisdom. I've heard some of these phrases come up as we were in this discussion, and then I think even I embrace impermanence, where this the scary universe and just uncertainty of where we go and that we are impermanent, and so I feel like there's a touching on of those ideals that translate to any spiritual discussion, regardless of what label or what path you are on. I think there is that common ground. I think, and that was another thing that came up in this discussion. I think Sister Enver, I think you were talking about that, as long as we have a common ground. And that's something that's getting out of my head and into my heart. By the way, yep, stair stepping down to here. So.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, so Linda, you had one more comment, and then
well, it just sticks in my mind, so I'll say it. I guess reflecting in terms of what you said, Giovanni, our past and the path we've been through, and the topic of love. What is love? Back when I was an older teenager, like at the end of my high school years, I don't know, I just was in this real quandary. It's like, what is love? And I had as a theme for I was an officer in Rainbow, and so you had to have a theme. I don't think I ever talked to anybody what my theme meant, but it was all that love is, but that was a question more than a statement. You know, it's like, what is it? You know, I didn't have the answer, but it's interesting to explore and, you know, to get new perspectives. And, you know, it is a kind of undefinable thing.
Okay, so with that, I just want to remind us that if we can let love be our spiritual practice, maybe we'll see a little more light in our world.
Hmm.
So,
Nice. Thank you for bringing this discussion to us, Kay. It's been really opening and enlightening and a good reminder for all of us.
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Oh, look at Giovanni's hearts. I love
Yeah,
it.
Where did you get
I
those?
love it.
Where'd you get those love things?
We're gonna have to get some Zoom lessons.
Yeah. Zoom hints.
Okay. Thank you all for your participation today. Another great interaction. And with that, we will close with Bill Withers' Lean on Me by a choir. So with that, let's greet each other with namaste as we close this portion of our service today. Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.